The billionaire's shoes clicked sharply against the marble floor as he stopped in front of the ragged man sitting near his car. "Move aside," he scoffed, eyes cold. The beggar looked up, his voice trembling. "Sir, I just need something to eat." The billionaire smirked. "Then maybe try working for it." Laughter echoed from the guards behind him until everything went silent. A shadow loomed over the billionaire, and his smile faded instantly. The man behind the beggar wasn't just anyone. He was someone the billionaire couldn't afford to insult. What happened next left everyone speechless and changed everything. Before we dive in, where are you watching from, and what time is it right now? Drop it in the comments below. I love how far these stories travel. It was a bright morning in downtown Atlanta. People rushed through the glass towers and luxury stores, but on the corner of Peachtree Avenue sat Marcus, a man whose clothes told a story no one cared to hear. Once a construction worker, now homeless after a workplace injury, Marcus still carried himself with quiet dignity. Every morning he'd sit near the cafe, greeting strangers with a polite nod, hoping someone might spare $1 or even a kind word. "Good morning, sir," he said softly to a man in a tailored suit who passed without even glancing his way. Another woman clutched her purse tighter as she walked by. Marcus sighed, his stomach aching but his spirit still holding on. A few blocks away, Richard Hale, one of the city's most powerful billionaires, was arriving at the same cafe for his daily espresso. Cameras loved him, his charities, his speeches, his polished smile. But beneath that shine was arrogance, the kind that looked down on anyone who didn't wear the same kind of shoes. That morning, fate was about to put Marcus and Richard face to face for the first time. And what began as a moment of cruelty would soon reveal a truth the billionaire never expected. Marcus watched the morning crowd blur past him like ghosts. Every so often someone would toss a few coins into his paper cup. Most just ignored him. But then he heard it, the heavy thud of expensive shoes stopping right in front of him. "Hey," the voice said sharply. Marcus looked up. Richard Hale, immaculately dressed, gold watch glinting in the sunlight, stood towering over him, irritation written across his face. "You're blocking my car," Richard said, glancing at the black Rolls-Royce parked behind Marcus. Marcus scrambled to move his few belongings. "I'm sorry, sir." "I didn't realize," Richard cut in, his tone dripping with mockery. "You people never do you?" The security guards behind him chuckled. One of them whispered, "Man doesn't even belong here." Marcus froze. His face burned, but he kept his voice steady. "I'm not trying to bother anyone. I just needed a place to sit." Richard smirked, leaning closer. "Sit? You mean beg? You want something for nothing, right? That's what you people are good at." The words hit Marcus harder than any punch. He lowered his gaze, gripping the edge of his worn jacket to keep his hands from shaking. Passers-by began to slow down, watching the scene unfold, but no one stepped in. "Sir, please," Marcus whispered. "I used to work. I had a job. I got hurt. I just need excuses," Richard interrupted, straightening up. "This city is full of them. You want money? Earn it. Not by sitting around making people uncomfortable." He flicked a $100 bill at Marcus's feet, sneering. "Here, pick it up. That's probably more than you've seen in months." Marcus didn't move. His pride screamed louder than his hunger. "No, sir," he said quietly. "I don't take money from people who look down on me." The crowd murmured. A woman pulled out her phone to record. Richard's smirk faded. "You're refusing my generosity?" Marcus looked him in the eye. "That's not generosity. That's humiliation." The silence that followed was deafening. Richard's face flushed red, not with guilt, but with anger. "Get him out of here!" he barked at his guards. They stepped forward, grabbing Marcus by the arm. "Don't touch me!" Marcus snapped, pulling free. His voice cracked, trembling with fury and pain. "You think because I'm down here and you're up there, you're better? You're not." The billionaire laughed coldly. "Better? No, just smarter." He turned to step into his car when a deep voice stopped him. "Is that how you treat people now, Richard?" The guards hesitated. Richard turned slowly, his expression stiffening as he saw the man standing behind Marcus, tall, composed, dressed in a sleek suit. The crowd gasped as whispers rippled through them. "Wait, is that?" someone said. Marcus turned too, confused. The man placed a steady hand on his shoulder, eyes locked on Richard. "I didn't think I'd see you like this again," the man said quietly. "Especially not after everything my foundation did for your company." Richard's jaw dropped. The tension in the air was electric. The billionaire who mocked a beggar was about to learn that the world wasn't watching silently anymore. And what happened next, no one would ever forget. The air around them turned heavy, thick with shock and silence. Richard froze, his confident smirk gone. The man standing behind Marcus was Dr. Elijah Brooks, one of the most influential black philanthropists in the country, and the very investor who had rescued Richard's company from bankruptcy 5 years earlier. "Elijah," Richard stammered, trying to force a smile. It's not what it looks like." "Oh, I think it's exactly what it looks like," Elijah said, his tone calm but sharp enough to cut through the tension. He turned to Marcus, his expression softening. "You all right, brother?" Marcus nodded faintly, still trembling. Cameras were now everywhere. Dozens of phones pointed at the billionaire who had just humiliated a homeless black man right in front of the man who made him rich. "Elijah," Richard said, forcing a laugh, "you know how these people can be. These people—" Elijah's voice boomed through the street. "You mean the same kind of man who once built your office, who worked 16-hour days so your towers could scrape the sky? The same kind of man you're mocking now?" Richard's face turned pale. The guards looked down, unsure whether to step back or stay still. Elijah continued, his voice unwavering. "You built your empire off the backs of men like him, and now you spit on them when they fall." He gestured toward Marcus. "Do you even know who this man is?" Richard blinked, confused. "Marcus was one of your lead foremen until he got injured on one of your unsafe sites. The same site your lawyers made disappear from the reports." Gasps rippled through the crowd. The truth hit like a thunderclap. Marcus looked down, shame and pain written across his face. "I never wanted trouble," he said quietly. "I just wanted to be treated like a human being." The crowd began to murmur angrily. Some shouted at Richard, others at his guards. Richard tried to speak, but Elijah stepped forward, eyes burning. "You humiliated a man who once helped you build everything you own. Now the world's watching, Richard. Tell them, how does it feel to lose your humanity in front of everyone?" Richard stood frozen, sweat glistening on his forehead as the cameras flashed. And in that moment, for the first time, the billionaire looked small. The next morning, the video was everywhere. News channels replayed the footage on loop, the billionaire's smirk, his cruel words, and the moment Elijah Brooks stepped in. Hashtags flooded social media. Stand with Marcus, dignity over wealth, racism exposed. What Richard had built over decades began to crumble overnight. Sponsors pulled out, board members resigned, and his name became synonymous with arrogance and prejudice. Meanwhile, Marcus sat quietly on a park bench across from the cafe where it had all happened. The same corner where he was once invisible now buzzed with people bringing him food, offering help, and most importantly, respect. A reporter approached him. "Marcus, do you forgive him?" Marcus hesitated, then nodded slowly. "I forgive him," he said softly. "Not because he deserves it, but because hate already took too much from me. I won't let it take the rest." Elijah later arranged a job and a place for Marcus to stay, but more than that, he gave him back something the world had stolen, his dignity. In the following weeks, Richard tried to apologize publicly, but his words sounded hollow. For the first time in his life, the cameras that once glorified him now reflected his downfall. And somewhere deep down, he finally understood the weight of what Elijah had said. Wealth means nothing if your heart is bankrupt. Marcus's story became a reminder that respect isn't something earned by money or power, but by humanity. Because behind every face on the street there's a story. Behind every struggle, there's a person who deserves to be seen. So the question is, how many more Marcuses have to be humiliated before we learn to see each other for who we truly are? If this story moved you, don't stay silent. Share it, speak up, and be the reason someone is treated with dignity tomorrow.